Ben Stokes and his men had to face defeat after all the success that they had in Hyderabad. But when things shifted, or when action shifted to Vizag, well, they had to taste defeat. And as a result, now Ben Stokes' men are now level after having taken a 1-0 lead. Now Rohit Sharma and co making a comeback, and they've made the series level at 1-1. However, we know that there was a big target that was set in front of England. 399 is what the Indian team had asked them to chase. But what is it exactly that Ben Stokes and co were thinking? Did they think that 399 was something that they could get, despite knowing that there's not too many visiting sides that have come to India and have chased anything in excess of 250, 300 batting in the fourth innings? But Ben Stokes and co, well, the captain says that they were very confident. This is, remind you, this is a bunch of players that's changing the way we look at Test cricket. That's changing the way Test cricket has been played. So there's nothing that they put beyond them or past them, and that's the kind of mindset that Ben Stokes has said that the team was in. Even knowing that they had lost out on 1 wicket coming to day 4, they still had 9 in hand. Well, they thought that 399 was something that they could still very well have gone ahead and achieved. Let's tell you what more Ben Stokes has had to say with regards to the aggressive nature with which a few batters played, what the mindset of the team was as the team prepared itself for that huge chase of 399. Obviously, things not going the way they would have liked them to, but let's try and understand what exactly is it that the psyche of this English side is at the moment. Coming into the last innings, and he's talking about the fourth innings over here, Ben Stokes, he says that coming into the last innings, we had full belief in ourselves that we could go ahead and chase that down. And he's talking about the target here, which was 399 runs. Also goes ahead and says that the way in which we go about taking our challenges like this is what we are all about. Also in extension saying that it's these challenging situations that perhaps pushes us to get the best out of ourselves as well, and especially it's these big run chasers as well. Stay with me as I tell you a bit more about what Ben Stokes had to say after the defeat. He says that the number of runs that we needed to get was just sort of another thing for us to try and chase down, and that's what the attempt of the English side was, that to keep trying and go ahead and chase down those 399 runs. Moving on, he then says that the players are good enough, and this is when Ben Stokes talked about the kind of approach that that the batters, it is believed as, let's say, that everyone has to go and play a certain brand of cricket, which actually is the case. But maybe there is something about baseball that's there to be understood, because that's not the way how they played in Hyderabad. If you were to ask me, two different approaches we saw in Vizag and Hyderabad. Yes, agreed that conditions over here were far more suited to good batsmanship as in Hyderabad, where the ball was turning. But what are England players really, and that's the question to him, are England players exactly told how to bat a certain way? This is what Ben Stokes had to say. He said that the players are good enough to be able to go out there, assess the conditions or the situation, and also assess how they're feeling and how is it that they best feel to go about getting those runs. So Ben Stokes saying that it's actually left up to the player. They're all good enough, every single player out there in the English team is good enough to be knowing how exactly is it that they want to go about in a run chase or just go about their batting. That's not precisely the way it is exactly perceived, because to the outside world maybe the diktat is very clear, but Ben Stokes saying that everyone's given a free hand, go out there and bat the way that you want to bat and assess the situation and the conditions. And this is the last bit that we could put together as far as what the philosophy of the team was as far as having that attacking approach today in the morning on day 4 in Vizag. Was the idea was to put the Indian bowlers under pressure and be asserting our authority very early and letting the Indian bowling attack know that this is how we're going to go about the day, and trying to not let them settle. This is the approach from this was in fact the approach that England had in mind going into day 4, even though, as I said, they were 1 wicket down, but going forward, they had their intentions very clear that they are not going to let the Indian bowlers settle down, which is why you perhaps saw, a Joe Root coming in and reverse sweeping the first ball. Second ball takes a single, third ball again goes for an aggressive shot. Eventually, of course, losing his wicket as a result. But so many of the England players, in fact, walking the talk, as Ben Stokes saying that that's exactly what their plan was, to not allow Indian bowlers to settle. But Ravichandran Ashwin, Jasprit Bumrah, both taking 3 wickets each, ensuring that India were the better team and that they drew level in this particular series. We'll have to wait and see if Bazball, let's say, is to do some course correction along the way, is to play the same way or not. All those answers to be discovered as we move along in this series. But at the moment, very interesting. The hosts have now drawn level, and Ben Stokes and co will perhaps have to go back and see what is it that they could have done right.